wow. Even like after all the patches, like it's still just a fucking mess. And I'm like, this is so fucking embarrassing. Yeah, it's the PlayStation road. So I'm glad the PS5 version of Starfield is in much better shape.
Well, it isn't. They're putting out hot fixes soon. The PS5 version of Starfield crashes. Like what I saw on Twitter is people were an hour in, they already had 6 crashes. As usual, you know about this as well. The PS5 is not playing nice with the Creation Engine again. Big surprise. One of the things that people wanted to talk about the most, and I definitely got asked about the most, and we saw some of your reactions about, was the Fallout show, and I figured that we could just address that elephant in the room.
Let's go!
Immediately. So, yeah, no kidding. So, you're not a fan of the show?
No, you are absolutely hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
However, I should probably put a disclaimer in. For people watching who like the show, don't take my opinion as like I'm critiquing you, or I'm saying that your opinions on the show aren't valid. Because if you like the show and you're enjoying it, fantastic. Then it's working for you. That's great. I have discovered as I get older, I become increasingly more critical about what I watch, and yeah, I guess just craft wise, I just don't think the show is put together very well. I don't think the scripts are very good. I don't have any issues with the acting. I just don't think it's very well put together. I mean, like if you compare it to like Doctor Who, for example, like Doctor Who does not have the biggest budget in the world. And when you look at the sets, you kind of groan and you're like, oh, wow, like that's that's not like the best CGI I've ever seen. And it feels kind of kludgy, but the scripts make up for it. You know, at least the older Doctor Who's did. But the problem with Fallout is you kind of get that kludginess with the scenes and the setups that they have, but then they don't have the script strength to back it up, in my opinion. And I give you a lot of specific things that bother me. But again, like it's just mostly the craftsmanship of the show that bothers me. I think the Fallout show actually mirrors like Fallout 4 really well. So like I was trying to watch season 2 and I got right up to the beginning of episode 3, and I honestly just couldn't go on any longer. They were doing certain things that I thought were I would hate to go back to crafted again, just not well crafted. I'll give you some examples. So the Ghoul and Lucy are, you know, in that one hospital, which somehow has power, which we'll get into is another thing. Like there was all sorts of little things like that would take me out of the experience and made me wonder like what the fuck's going on. They fight the Round Scorpions, which normally I'd be super thrilled about. But then they turned it into an Aliens like, well, you're just mimicking aliens now. And then when they uncovered Area 51 with the giant fans, which made no fucking sense, where I'm like, okay, so in pre-war years, they thought that the base would be covered by sand and these giant fans would come up and blow it away. I'm like, okay, like, granted, it's Fallout, it's kind of goofy, but like that kind of pushed my plausibility there, even though Fallout's not supposed to be plausible. And then like they do things like joke repetition, like because when they started, like the Brotherhood started like setting up shop in Area 51, obviously, but then they had that one scene where like they find the icebox with the alien in it, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't do aliens in Fallout. But regardless of that, the joke was, oh my god, it's an icebox, like they had refrigeration back then. Okay, and that was funny. But then they did it again, because then they found that the super sweet, like, you know, 50s red hot rod. But instead of driving it around, they start shooting it up. But the joke was placed so close to the other one that it actually fell flat for me. So I'm like, oh, they're just repeating the same theme of the joke again. Now, to the show's credit, I think it was episode 2, they did do some great stuff where like where Maximus is like, you know, doing the fisticuffs in the Brotherhood of Steel ring, and the camera is panning around to show the people screaming and yelling and getting all the bloodlust, And I thought that was perfect because it's showcasing, well, if the Brotherhood wins, this is the kind of society that's going to result. And I'm like, that's perfect. But those moments were so rare. And then other critical moments, like, okay, so when they're in the hospital, the ghoul gets poisoned. You know, Lucy has a choice between saving the Legion slave or saving the ghoul. But as you and I know, that's not a choice.
Yeah.
Like, because the ghoul's going to survive no matter what. So, like, if there's a question of someone suffering, but yet they both live, like, is that really a choice? And, like, even she admits it.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, well, all the tension got evaporated there. And, like, there were so many things like that where I would have to watch it for 10 minutes. I'd get frustrated, take a long break. I'd forget why I was frustrated. Then I'd start watching it again. Another 10 minutes would go by, if that. Like, there were some times where, like, it would be less than a minute before I'd turn it off again. Like, there was one moment in episode 2 where, like, Maximus's friend is saying, hey, you know, what about that girl in the wasteland you met? And Maximus looks off to the side, and you can tell, like, he's supposed to be despondent. But the framing and the camera work in that scene is so fucking bad that, like, it was hard for me not to laugh out loud. And I had to shut it off, like, within a minute. And I'm like, these are basic cinematography techniques for conveying emotion, for framing a scene. And you guys are just being clowns about it. Like, it's like grow some skills.
Okay, so you were more involved then with Dead Money, Old World Blues, and Lonesome Road.
Yeah, almost total. I was almost fully occupied narratively with all three of those.
Okay. Well, then, first off, I want to say that Dead Money is probably the most Fallout-esque experience that we get in the 3D Fallout worlds. Being stripped of everything you're comfortable with, and the whole environment's out to get you.
Not the best decision, but yes.
Yeah, no, but I think it paints a very serious tone.
I felt that would cater to the survival horror theme. The reason I'm making these expressions and I have hesitations about it is because despite what I thought would be cool as an examination of Fallout, it was so different than the core experience it was obviously a huge turnoff for a lot of people. Well, you know, when it comes to sales and reviews, it matters.
I'm being facetious, but yeah.
And also, Bethesda used review scores against us for the DLCs for, like, why they didn't want to keep doing things with us anyway, even though they didn't want to do anything anyway. So whatever.
We should definitely talk about that.
It was fun. It was fun. They had a whole PowerPoint, not even about the DLC. They had a whole PowerPoint about all the things Obsidian did wrong, and we're like, wow! And they showed it to us, and we're like, okay,
that's absolutely wild.
This is hugely morale boosting. I thought we did a good product for you guys that kept Fallout public consciousness, but you guys don't seem very happy about it, despite the fact you reaped a lot of the rewards for it. So anyway, so there was that. So, like, my issue is just that I think that the vision for a survival horror experience, the way that we did it in Dead Money, was a little too different than the core experience in Fallout, that it was kind of a turnoff to people.
But we put together this party in Good Springs every year for New Vegas, and
I'm familiar with it. Hey, TK, really question. So you were there for the most recent one, right?
No, I was not. Like I said, it's changed. I couldn't afford it this year, but there's a reason, like, Goggins and Co. were there, and all of the devs for, like, a bunch of I'm surprised you weren't there, because a bunch of the devs from Obsidian were there.
Well, actually, the Obsidian devs, from what I heard, actually were sort of regulated to the back, and it was a similar situation.
So you see what I mean when I say it's changed.
Yeah, and also, like, this is really crazy, but when the season 2 of the Fallout show was, you know, about to air, apparently there was a very small select group at Obsidian who got warning emails that they weren't going to be allowed to post or say anything Fallout or about the Fallout show, apparently, around the time of its release, which I thought was really scary. Which I'm all about just let devs speak. Like, just, it's fun. Like, unless, like, you're super sensitive or super thin-skinned, it shouldn't be a huge deal like that. But, like, they just get so wound up about it, where it's like, you need to relax, because you're actually doing more damage to the brand by trying to keep it so tightly, like crush counter voices or a different opinion. It's not like you know, John Gonzalez hates Mr. House at all. Like he would love to talk about that character. He
Yeah.
developed that character. He made that character. It'd be nice if he got some credit for it. Like, is it really so bad if he speaks about it? I mean, is it bad if Tim says something? Like, give me a break. Usually Bethesda's voice actor model was they'd get one big person.
Okay.
Like, hey, it's Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson, yeah.
For New Vegas, they approached it differently. We're like, we could probably get 12 to 14 really good, well-known people that are appropriate for a part that won't be like break the bank. And actually the whole game would be better for it. And so that's why we got a lot more of a really cool range of different voice actors that really worked out really well.
Obviously there was a good supporting cast too. Like, there's not slouches in the vocal booths. There's one that's really bad. It's just one line from a character. Okay, you know Jack from The Boomers, when Janet is at Crimson Caravan, and it's the love of his life. He's been looking at her through binoculars, so you gotta bring her over. So when they finally meet, his line is so deadpan, it's hilarious. Like he walks up, he's like,
"Hello, it's great to finally meet you."
That's about the only time in New Vegas where I'm just like, oh man, this is rough. But other than that, like even the rest of his lines are fine. It's just like for some reason that one line comes off very like robotic and monotone, but it's really funny each time.
Another story about that is I would consider that a bug. And not every QA department would, because they've been trained to never bring up issues like that. Like if it's not an actual technical bug, QA has been actively encouraged not to report on it. So like not a lecture, but like whenever we're on a new project, a new QA department comes in, QA lead, I try and tell them that we aren't special snowflakes here at Obsidian or Black Isle or wherever it happen to be. We want you to tell us about things like that, because what you just said hurt the experience for you a little bit in a very noticeable, discernible, and fixable way. And like there was a whole bunch of others like that you know, you may have also encountered. Like there's an NCR leader at the end of the game who literally switches voice actors or switches the character model for the same tone. And when I brought it up, the producer's like, so what? Don't care, gonna ship it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess commitment to quality is out the window. But I mean, it's only the end of the game when you're trying to like feel great about everything, whatever. So there were depressing moments like that. But your reaction right there is absolutely why I try and encourage QA to like, please, like storytellers and aesthetics, they can be flawed too. They can ruin the experience for everybody. So please write them up.
How familiar are you with Fallout 4? Like, did you play through it? And
I only played a little bit at the beginning until I got to the museum and I think Concord, and then damn. Like the design there was so terrible that I'm like, whatever happens after this point, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend 60 to 80 hours on this for those endings, or even what the other two endings might be, because these two are terrible. One thing we realized was it's really hard to add a brand new open world space to the Mojave without breaking a lot of stuff. We can actually segment it out to a much more focused experience. Sure, like it feels more confined, but like budget wise, it's going to get done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we already had enough memory problems with New Vegas anyway, and that's a whole other story, because we tried to head that off at the pass, where I asked the programmers, look, we have 4 DLCs coming. So if we're having optimization issues in the core game, which we were, I need you to reserve memory and whatever engineering space you need for these 4 DLCs, because they're coming. Like, it's going to happen. Bethesda's signed up for them. And it didn't work out at all. Like, it turned out that all those estimates were bullshit. We still ran across memory problems, even when we'd tried to look ahead and ask for them. And we spent most of a good chunk of the DLC time was just fixing all the optimization errors for the core game that had never gotten addressed. And that was pretty frustrating. It was like, because I made all the DLC work, like you felt like you were working with half the staff. And like when even one of them is a programmer that you can't make full use of, that is a nightmare. So that was depressing in itself.
Actually, and to go to what you were saying about the DLCs and memory problems, hiccups along the way, do you think the creation engine is the problem there? But do you think if you weren't working on the creation engine that New Vegas could have been better? Let's put it that way.
So first off, I can understand there would be an inclination to blame Gamebryo, which I don't think is the world's most fantastic engine, but I can't argue with the fact that it lets you make an open world environment,
Yeah.
and the script for it is, it's there. The tool set, mostly works, which is a far cry from a lot of other tool sets I've worked with. Now, I do agree that it has weaknesses, several, but it worked. Like it was able to make a game, which it got it over the finish line. Even the car was, was sputtering smoke and like gears were falling off. And then the reason I pause about that is because I could blame Gamebryo. I can go, hey, you know what? It's actually this engine that's creating these obstacles. But after speaking to some of the level designers who worked on Fallout 3 and I think Fallout 4, they pointed out to me that like there were so many ways we could have saved space, we could have been more economical with our building, because they knew all the tricks. And like,
Yeah.
and even if they were available, they would have loved to have helped us out, but they were like busy with other stuff, so they couldn't. But like there was goodwill there where they could have come in and go, here's a more efficient way for you to design the Mojave that's going to prevent problems down the road. And like the fact that we didn't have access to that or push for access to that, I think, was on us. And then the very last anecdote that I'll mention is I was in a meeting with Bethesda where a few days before I'd done an interview about the Gamebryo engine, and like someone had asked me, hey, is New Vegas going to run 30 frames per second? In my mind, it's inexcusable that a game would not run 30 frames per second. So I said, yes, it will. And to my surprise, I'm in this Bethesda meeting. This tech director starts lecturing me about, you shouldn't have said that. And I'm sitting there taking it. And I'm like, and all I'm thinking back in my mind is like, why do you have a fucking engine that can't run 30 frames per second and then call that to your claim of fame and you're the director of technology? It was so offensive to me. I sat there and smiled and I took it. But overall, like that in itself was one fundamental flaw of the technology there. And I've known programmers that worked at Bethesda. They say the engine, it's all sorts of messes like under the hood. But that 30 frames per second thing, like it's like that's on Bethesda. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I shouldn't be being lectured about that. You are the ones who should be being lectured about it.
Yeah, well, apparently as usual, about this as well. The PS5 is not playing nice with the creation engine again. Big surprise.
I am very familiar with that.
Yeah, I know you are. Because
we almost got. Oh my God! After this, we almost got sued over that too. Like, but
really?
go on with your
Okay,
story.
yeah, we're gonna have to talk about.
So we almost got sued because Josh did an interview with Eurogamer, and it might still be up, where the interviewer asks Josh about the PS3 version, and I'm paraphrasing here because the actual wording isn't important. Josh concedes that the PS version of Fallout New Vegas is probably not up to snuff. But the worst part about the interview, the writer transcribed Josh laughing after he said it. And he goes, and then Sawyer laughed. And I could almost hear like the swords being drawn over in Bethesda land where they're like, and now it's time for the lawsuits. Cause like they were fucking pissed. They're like, how dare you imply that the PS3, like how dare you publicly say that the PS3 version is inferior when everybody knows it. Like it wasn't a big secret. And like Josh is a very honest guy. So like what, I mean, of course he's going to say that when he's asked a question, and like maybe you should own up to the weaknesses in your engine versus like trying to brush it under the rug and pretend everything's fine. And then like my wife didn't play New Vegas when it came out, but we played the PS3 version many years later, and she's treated to this wasteland of nothing but those orange cones. Which are showing all the assets that can't be loaded. And I'm like, wow. Even like after all the patches, like it's still just a fucking mess. And I'm like, this is so fucking embarrassing. It's the PlayStation road. So I'm glad the PS5 version of Starfield is in much better shape.
Well, it isn't. They're putting out hot fixes soon. The PS5 version of Starfield crashes. Like what I saw on Twitter is people were an hour in, they already had 6 crashes to desktop. Just the normal stuff from that. Now, this is the Fallout 3 remaster rumor. Everybody is like, oh, they should do New Vegas at the same time. And yeah, if and nuts were candy, and you know.
Well, I mean, just pragmatically, it would make more sense to try out that process with Fallout 3 before going to New Vegas, just to see what all the problems and issues are as a result.
Yeah, and you think just other than that, fundamentally, it would be an impossibility for them?
Yeah, for one reason. The very last milestone for New Vegas was please deliver all the source code and the ability to make the build, and like we'll pay you like $10,000 for that milestone. Now, what that milestone really meant was if all those assets are given to Bethesda, that means they can recreate the game at any time.
Yeah.
For reasons unknown to me, but I have suspicions, Fergus decided not to cash out that milestone and did not deliver it.
But that is a strange decision.
Well, it's not a strange decision if you feel, which would not be out of the realms of possibility, that he felt that the New Vegas experience cheated him out of X amount of money.
Okay.
In which case, cutting off the revenue stream from that product for all time would be a possibility. I could certainly see that, and I'm not saying.
So Bethesda doesn't have the source code for New Vegas?
I don't. They may have aspects of the code, but everyone that I talked to after that period of time said they had no idea how to reassemble it. And
holy shit!
Oh yeah. They actually had an Obsidian engineer who might have been able to figure it out. They had one of our best programmers from Obsidian, who of course left because Obsidian's not a big engineering company, and they're not really super supported at Obsidian, so it wasn't a huge surprise. But this one guy, John Burke, he went over to Bethesda to work with them for a while, and honestly, he probably could have figured it out because that guy's a fucking genius. He's working on the God of War series now. He's a great guy.
Yeah, so he's good at his job.
Oh god, yeah, it's a rare thing.
Yeah. Now that even with Microsoft owning both companies, you don't think that they could, unless
here's the story with the Microsoft acquisition. So I think that there's an impression in people's minds that will make sense to them that, if they're all under the Microsoft umbrella, they're all going to cooperate and everyone's going to get along, everyone's going to share everything. But the Sony model has already proved that's not the case. Like, those studios don't always cooperate with each other. Sometimes they see each other as rivals. Sometimes they demand exorbitant amounts of money to share assets. Like, it's not always one big happy family. With Microsoft, it may seem like they could punch through all of that. I am not sure that they can, mostly because of how the Bethesda deal went down. In my opinion, Bethesda did not have to sell to Microsoft at all. Like, they would have kept going just the way they were, but they did decide to sell. But the issue is, when you don't have to sell and the other person wants to buy you, you can make demands. And I very much imagine part of the demands were, Todd Howard said, look, we can sign with you. We'll deliver our products to Xbox. We'll make sure that we're doing right by you. But you're not going to have any say over what happens with our properties. Like, we're going to develop Fallout the way we want to develop Fallout. So that's my opinion. Other people I've talked to have supported that, but I can't give you concrete evidence that's the case. Yeah. It's mostly just human nature, and for what I've seen of contracts in the past. I would have been very surprised had Bethesda sold out all their rights to say, you no longer have any choice over where your properties go. I just can't see them making that deal.
That would make less sense.
Yes.
And it's not even about like who's right or who's wrong or whatever. That I'm just like, from a business standpoint, that like this is ours and we're gonna do with it what we want.
Right. And another thing TK2 is Todd Howard really loves Fallout.
Yeah, like, I've told people this too.
People blast it. They say there's no way that's the case. That's not true. Like, he likes that franchise. He cares about it. He obviously wants to keep some control over it. There was somebody at Bethesda, a guy named Vladko, I think, who actually was bragging to us during our pitch meeting where we're discussing doing New Vegas, where he actually bragged about the fact that Todd Howard didn't want anyone else to do like a Fallout game. And he had basically forced Todd to make this decision to let somebody do another Fallout game because it was going to be so long before the next Fallout came out. And Vlatko was right about this. Like, you want to keep it in the public consciousness, but it's very important to Todd Howard that not happen. And Vlatko was like bragging about how, like, yeah, Todd really didn't want to do it, but like I made him do it. He wasn't happy at all. Like, he's doing the power trip, like laughing, like, okay, whatever, man. But the point is, it showcased how much Todd did care about keeping the Fallout license and trying to make it thrive from his end.
I've heard some rumblings more recently too. Other developers that worked on maybe Fallout 3, Fallout 4, talking about being a little bit jaded by the fact that New Vegas gets all the praise and the love from the community, when what was said basically was, well, we laid the foundation of the RPG, of Fallout as an RPG, and then New Vegas used what we had, and now gets all the credit for making this great game. And I said, you're talking about the people who literally invented this game. Like, they laid the foundation for you to make Fallout 3 later on in life. Without their ideas, that game wouldn't exist.
Was this one of the concept artists at Bethesda?
Yeah.
Was it Jonah Lobe?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
How did you guys actually feel about Fallout New Vegas?
You always get those guys jumping out of the woodwork to be like, New Vegas is the best, Bethesda sucks, and I'm kind of like, okay, sure, that's fine. We made 90% of the art. We built the engine. We did all that stuff. We did it in a very limited window of time, and we put in all this effort, and they got to just work on the stories.
32.78%, roughly 1/3 of all adjusted assets in Fallout 3 were transferred to Fallout New Vegas, and are thus common in both games.
It's a little unfair that we're being judged on not having the storylines, blah, blah, blah. But with that said, actually, and as time has gone on, I'm like, honestly, Obsidian killed it.
So just to take his side a little bit, there is no way Obsidian ever could have done a game like New Vegas without that engine, without those assets.
And that's what he meant. That's what he meant when he said that,
and also, like, if you do that same comparison with BioWare, and them giving, like, Black Isle the Infinity Engine to do, like, Icewind Dales and Torment and all the other stuff, like, at no point did BioWare get frustrated at us using actually they took code from us too. Like, we shared that stuff, but BioWare was already doing great stuff on their own, where, like, it wasn't even a question that, like, we were even outshining them. They were just doing a better job with it. So, like, that's the best defense. Like, your studio has to do the best job it can with your tech. And it's great that you're giving tech to other studios, but if they do a better narrative or a better design structure than you, that's kind of on you.
Yeah. Did you see the play out of what happened to Caesar in the show?
Yeah, just barely. And then I think that was probably the point where I broke.
Okay, yeah, the two warring legions.
Yeah, I think seeing his corpse, or them discussing the corpse that lay between the two very close together camps for a long period of time was probably the breaking plausibility point where I'm just like, wherever this series is going, I don't care anymore.
Okay, so that means that you probably didn't make it to what the note said in his.
No.
Okay, so Macaulay Culkin's character walks up. They all start fighting. Cooper the Ghoul starts a big thing there because they...
Shocker!
Yeah. So as they're all fighting because of that, Macaulay Culkin goes over to Caesar's corpse and he pulls out the note that everybody's been... Caesar has this note that's supposed to tell everybody, this is what happens when I die, but they've been fighting over it, so nobody knows. And he opens the note and it says, I am Caesar, the Legion dies with me. And so Macaulay Culkin eats the note and becomes Caesar and leads the Legion to New Vegas. Why is he going to New Vegas? Because he heard that there's a palace there. A Caesar's palace, if you will.
Okay.
I just wanted you to feel a little bit of pain during this, I guess. You had to know that happened. And then the NCR show back up. Suddenly their army's not as diminished as we thought it was. They show back up into the strip, and here comes the NCR army, and the Legion's marching on to New Vegas, so they're gonna fight for New Vegas. And Max and Lucy are standing where House is, and house flickers onto the screen for a minute, and then it okay. Nobody won the Battle of Hoover Dam, by the way. Apparently, every faction thinks they won the Battle of Hoover Dam.
Okay.
For what? Cold Fusion.
That was oh my god, don't get me started on that.
That MacGuffin. I thought the Gek was a big enough MacGuffin for Fallout.
Oh my god, absolutely. The Jews